evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone in person and those who are on the Zoom. Welcome. I would like to thank Geshe Ngawang Sangke for accepting to be here and to have today's evening's talk, even though he was on vacations. He accepted to give his time. And just to introduce a little bit, of course, you will know more about him as we discuss. But just like myself, he started in Kopan Monastery in Nepal, and then went to Sera in India for further studies, and he graduated. And he has been, helping West Laprang, which is the place where Rinpoches and Lama Wesel used to study and take care of that. And also he was involved with the Sera Je Food Fund, helping Lama Sopa Rinpoche with for how many years?
For 11 years.
11 years. So he was helping the Sera Je Food Fund. And then also he was Geshe coordinator and still Geshe coordinator. And for how many years? No.
It's same. Now it's running 20 years, I think.
So Geshe coordinators, and also he and with one of the other Geshes served as running the Sera Je school for 4 years. And also he is at the moment in a FPMT committee who will approve or disapprove teachers to the FPMT, whether it's Geshes or other Western teachers or Western teachers and visiting. So he's one of in the committee as well. So I have to be nice to him. Otherwise, he might fire me from Western teacher here. So I have to butter him up.
Yeah.
Joke apart. So that is a little bit of about him, Geshe Ngawang Sangke. But again, and the way I'm going to do is, I think I will be asking some questions to him about the life in monasteries, and he will share. If there's something that I feel like I might add a little bit myself, I might. And then at the end, maybe we can open probably 20 or half hours for the audience to ask any questions they have. So I think that is how we are going to proceed. Does that sound okay? Yeah. So first, I would like to ask a little bit about your background, your village, and yeah. Yeah, you can do that way. Sometimes it might be even better when you put, because.
Firstly, good evening, everybody. And thank you very much for having me here. And so Gisela asked me that if I can give some kind of my experience in the monastery. So of course, that if that's something that if I can do here, sharing my experiences, the life in the monastery, of course, it's more appreciated for me to share with you all. And so I would like to thank Gishla and especially the board members here, SPC and everybody who built up this center. It's really amazing. As I said that I have been few of the FMT centers, but it was a really amazing center here. You have very good facilities. One of the most wonderful teacher you have here, Geshe Sherab, and good practitioner, of course, and one of the art students of Lama Sopa Rinpoche, and especially Lama Ishi. So we have very few people in our monastery, and so we have to feel that we are very fortunate to have one of these in this center. Yeah, so coming to the point, I have to say something about my village.
Village and
Yeah. So I was born in the Himalayan regions called Rolwaling. Some may read this name in the book of Lama Sopa Rinpoche. When he was 6 years old, and he was sent to there to study by his uncles until he went to Tibet. Yeah, so that's the village that I was born, and then it's kind of very remote area, but we have lots of stories about the lamas, high lamas coming there to do the retreat. And those days there are so many high lama, even one of the Karmapas lineage who have came there to do the retreat, and many high Nyingma lamas did the retreat too. So it's more and less nowadays is more accessible to go there, but those days that we have to walk 7 days. It was about 1987 that around that year is 7 days. It takes 7 days to reach there, just walking like a hiking. So it's a nice place, and then we have lots of mountaineers from there. Those who have climbed Mount Everest for 16, 12, 13s, and many people who have world, like Guinness record holders are there. And we have recently there was one news came up that one of the lady who climbed 18 high peaks in the world, and she's the one. She's the first lady to climb 18 peaks, and she's also she also represent North Face and Rolex, and she lives in mostly she lives in Colorado, and sometimes she lives in Seattle. Yeah, sorry, yeah, Seattle. So just about that. So I came from that kind of village, and then in 1987, my uncle, who was Nyingma Lama, High Lama, and he and my father decided me to bring down to Kathmandu, and to get ordained and be a monk in one of the monastery. But here there was some misunderstanding happened. My uncle thought that I'm going to Kopan, but my father thought another monastery in Bodhanath. And then, so my father is a mountaineer, so he had to go to the mountain, and then he left me with my uncle, and then my uncle brought up me to Kopan, and I was in Kopan. And after he finished his mountaineering, he was searching me in another monastery, and he couldn't find, and he was very worried because those days we don't have any accessible of mobile phone or tracking anything or asking. So everybody has to use the phone, like landline phone. And then, so my father was very worried that in the monastery he thought that I was in, he couldn't find me there. And he had to wait for several months to meet my uncle. He was keep traveling all this Nepal, the remote areas. And then several months later, that he could meet my uncle, and then only then he could find me that I'm in Kopan. Yeah, so that was like some kind of misunderstandings. Maybe it's a like kind of karmic connection that I had to be at Kopan. So I went to Kopan in 1987.
87. Okay. How many family members, siblings in your home?
Okay, we have 7 members in our family. So those days, in Sherpa family, most of the families will have a 7, even 9, even 10. Yeah. So children's in one family. So I'm the oldest son of the family, and I have 3 sisters and 3 brothers.
And why did your uncle or father wanted to send you and not others?
I don't know really, but because in those days it's very simple. It's like the family. My family background is like kind of very uh, mm, simple family, and I think maybe they are not. They cannot afford me to send to the school. Yeah. So my uncle found that Kopan is a very good monastery, which have a monastic education system, and as well as like school system is there. So my uncle decided me to send at Kopan. It's because that there's more things to learn, not only the monastic education, but also the the school studies and everything there. So that was how my uncle found me that I should go to Kopan.
Just to remind, like, I guess most of the village people from your village are Nyingma traditions, yeah, follow just like in my village. But I guess as he mentions, karma, he even though his families and the whole village belong to a different lineage, but he went to a different lineage, and that was same with me too. So, or we were sent to a different lineage. And do you remember how was your feelings to being sent to monastery?
Yeah, yeah. The first thing was the excitement is like, when I was studying in the government school in our village. So it's a very cold mountains, and then the teacher, the government sent is from the very lower part of Nepal. Like they have to walk and everything, so they cannot stand cold. So in winter we will not have a class at all, and maybe in summer about maybe 2 months. So total, I think maybe we will have a 4 months a year. So when I heard that I'm going to be taken to Kathmandu, so the first thing was very happy, and then yeah, it's lots of excitement. Like I was preparing myself that now I'm going to the bigger city or something. I haven't prepared for like kind of going to the monastery or something, but when I heard that I'm being taken to Kathmandu, bigger city, and then was really excited.
How old were you at that time?
I was 9 years old, 9 years old. Yeah.
And then once you are in Kopan, what was your experience? How did you feel at the very beginning when you first went?
Okay, so I was, like welcomed by the big dog. We call that. One is Pomchin, another one is
Mahakala.
Mahakala. So it's a huge dog. Like I never seen such a huge dog. And then I the first my impressions to the monastery, I was just roaming around, like that, very naughty boy. And then suddenly the big dog bite me at my back, like scratch me. Yeah, so that was my first thing. So I was crying because that was my first visit to the monastery. So I think maybe that was like the Mahakala removed all the obstacles to be a monk. So then, I was brought up to see Geshe Rinpoche, Lama Thontup, the previous abbot of Kopan. So then he's like a mother of all of us, yeah, who are, who came like my age. During Ishila's age, there's a Lama Ishi, but our age, we have a Geshe Rinpoche. He's like a all-rounder, teacher, mother, or he takes care of everything very detailedly, each and every monks. And even if there's like 200 monks, he knows everybody. And yeah, about the studies, about the behaviors, like, and even he study how good is in Tibetan, how good in English, how good in Nepali. He knows everything, even the handwriting he knows very much about in detail. So I was taken to see Geshe Rinpoche, and then Geshe Rinpoche was very like a playful, joyful guy. And then he asked me, "Do you really want to be a monk?" And I say, "Yeah, I'm okay," because I still don't know what actually is a monk. I just came to, I was sent there, and then after that, he was about to, give a refuge. Then he again asked me, so you have to answer 3 times, like, yes, I want to be a monk. Yeah, so he asked me 3 times, then I say, okay, of course I want to be a monk, but I don't know actually why I want to be a monk. Yeah.
And so once they started to shave your hair and put in a robe, then you knew that what monk is.
Yeah, so then in the monastery, when you are accepted, so then you will be handed over to the teacher, one of the teacher,
Yeah, maybe mentor or guidance.
mentor, yeah, one of the mentor. It's
You
not,
need a
yeah.
mentor or guidance to the new monks, senior monks who will be the mentor and guidance.
Yeah. So there was one old monk from Tame Monastery, he was, and then he was one of the senior monk of Kopan. Is Ngawang Gil. And then because my uncle knows him, they are from the same monastery in Tame, and so then he, Geshe Rinpoche will hand over him like, okay, this is your son for life. You have to take care and you have to look after him. And then I was taken down, and then my uncle bought me robes, and then so he started to shape my hairs. I was anxious that what's going on, something. But it's 9 years old boy, but a very excitement. And then I took a shower. I can remember that those days we don't have a shower room there, so I took a shower under the tap, and then cold water, yeah. And then I wear my robes, and then again Naonamjil took me to
Is
the
the mic okay? Can you hear in the?
yeah. So he took me to the Geshe Rinpoche again, and that time is the real ordination ceremony or something. So I had what called ceremony, ordin ceremony, and then my uncle went back. But I never felt that I'm alone or something, lonely, or maybe missing my family or something, because so much excitement is there. Many friends I have. The one thing to be excited is that in village, even though I'm 9 years old, but I already started to work for the family at the age of 6, and and then 7, 8, 9 until 9. So my duty is like, if there's a school, I have to go to school, and most of the other times that I have to look after the cattles, like yak and those mountains animals. We have the social animals. So it's a really difficult job. Like sometimes you have to find out every yaks or other animals, and difficult even in winter. So that kind of environment was really difficult. So when you come to the monastery, actually, you don't have to do anything unless you only have to do the study, memorizations, all these things. So I was not really missing my families those times.
Mm. What was the schedule like in the today?
Yeah. So in Kopan, the schedule starts from the 6 a.m. in the morning with the puja, and all the monks have to be, we have to be awake before 5:30. So 5:30 there will be one bell ringing very loud, like very loud bell, and then after that, even if we didn't wake up, and then there will be a captain coming with the sticks, they don't hear us, but just outside that all the metal boundaries, so he make a noise like lots of noise around the metal boundaries, and then we have to wake up, and we have to be in the puja exactly at the 6. And and then after we gather in the monastery, so we do the prostrations of the 35 Buddha, and then some other prayers. Then we sit for the puja for 1.5 hours, I guess, with a breakfast served there. And
Can I add something to that?
yeah,
At our times, just like that, So the schedule is same, winter or summer, all years. It's not like in the winter it's cold, but you can sleep more. It is whether the schedule the same winter, summer, all the times. And so of course there is the bell, and then captain will come knock each rooms to wake up, So you cannot pretend that I didn't hear the bell. So they come knock every rooms, go and wake up. And if they don't see the light switch off, they will keep on knocking. And then you have to say, oh, switch on the light, and they will go. So there is half hour to brush, use the toilet, and go there. Once they go, we could sleep. you know, and even 5 minutes, extra, you feel so, extra 5, 10 minutes, you want to sleep. And sometimes you fall asleep and then you will get punished. You were late or doesn't go. But so that was, I just wanted to add that was how it was.
yeah, and then after the puja, we have sessions of cleaning the surroundings. So they will have a different group of monks divided into 4, 5. I think I don't remember. So among the group, they will have one captain. So his duty is that he have to call everyone under him who is working under him, and the main thing is that he have to be responsible for the sweepers. Brooms. Yeah, brooms. Because it's expensive, so that he has to be responsible. And we have to clean whole around the monasteries, and then even the public washrooms, and then after that we start the memorization for how many hours? I think 1 hour, yeah, 1 hour, and until 9 o'clock. I think it starts from 7:30 to 9 o'clock, we have to do the memorizations. And from 9 o'clock, the actual school curriculums will be started.
I know the schedule changes for at different times. Because when we started, in certain time you have more subject and more classes, and in certain time there's less. At the moment, there's a lot for the young monks. During our time, we had only English class, of course, Tibetan class, Tibetan grammar and language and English. and then some kind of art, paintings, and different form of art. And for the young monks, basically that was, and then there's a lot of memorization. All other free times, there's a lot of memorizations. And also you have to serve in the kitchens. Yeah, you have to help in the kitchens. And then during our time, you have to carry the waters because there is no water there. So you have to go down. There's a spring there, and you have to actually carry all the waters. And also during our time, there is no type to take a shower. So you have to go to the river to take bath. You cannot go every day. During the weekend, there's one day off. It's off from the class, but it's not really off. Washing your clothes, taking bath, cleanings. So evening class, you don't have the evening. That is a great enjoyment. Not having a class is, for a young child. If you don't have class, you are so excited and happy. Walking is not a problem. If they give work, in order to miss the class, the monks, they try to ask for other jobs and works, So, yeah. And so during that one day off, then that is when you wash. And again, you have to, even as a young age, 9, you have to wash your own clothes and everything. So you have to learn everything yourself, helping in the kitchens, washings, cleanings, and then slowly choppings and helping with others. So that is one of the duties for the monks in those times. How many classes you have during your times?
Same like Gisela's time, we have a memorization class and then English class. Okay, one extra we have is a Nepali class, Nepalese class, yeah. And English and Tibetan grammar and yeah, plus Nepali class. And yeah, only extra is the one Nepali local language we have.
So at the moment, for the young monks, they have same education as in normal schools, same education, same curriculums. So they have, 3 languages: Tibetan language, Nepali language, English language, science, math, social studies, and art. And of course, on top of that, then they have to go to the pujas, they have to do the memorizations, and all others. So there is even joke, in Kopan, there is 18 bell rings.
18 bells a day.
So bell, meaning, each time there is a bell, either it's a class, pujas, or for maybe the lunch, but 18 times. So extremely busy compared to other schools. Their schedule is very, very tight. So, but of course, as for the elder monks, on top of that, then you have to have the Buddhist philosophy classes. So once you have Buddhist philosophy classes on top of English, Tibetan, and all of that art, then you have the philosophy classes. With the philosophy classes, then you have a teaching from the teachers every day. At that time, once off there, and then you have debate classes, in the evening after the dinners. There's a debate class, and then after the debate class, there is reciting the text that you have already memorized so that you don't forget it. And then in between, then you have to do the self studies, doing the homework and self-studies.
Yeah, can I add something more about the school system? So, the school system right now, which is still going on, is during Geshe Sherab was a principal. So he started the actual curriculums of the school, like science and then all other studies. And even it was been registered under the government education policy. So, I can remember His Holiness Dalai Lama gave a talk in Europe. I think maybe it's in Switzerland. And then he gave a talk especially for the monasteries. It was especially for the monasteries, saying that you have a responsibility to all these kids sent by their parents to the monastery. Not only the monastery education, but you also have to give a school educations. It's because that if you don't continue being a monk, then at least you have a school educations to continue your daily life. Like you can go for the universities or colleges like that. So Geshe was the one who started opening school as like a school system, and even they can go to the government exams after 10 or I think 10, 8, yeah, 8. They can join to the government, the exam systems also like that. So it continues now, and then now uh, after many years now they're able to study in the universities, and Nepali government has provided uh, Buddhist university for the monasteries. So now in few years we will have a few professors from there. Right now we have some bachelor, they finished a bachelor. A few of them finished the master, and we are hoping that in few years we will also have a PhD professors from there. So this all started due to Geshe-la's effort that he put, and he had to go through lots of difficulties, I guess, to bring this kind of system in the monastery. And as any of you can, who have been Kopan recently, you can see the school building, very beautiful school building, very beautiful classrooms, and even you have a lots of computer classrooms. So to have a computer classroom in the monastery is very rare actually. Yeah, so that's why Geshe have started that, and nowadays even if you couldn't continue being a monk, then you have something, to carry on.
About that, it was not me, but I think the Kopan board members had discussed about the modern education. Of course, the monastery providing the monastic education for a long time, and modern education they didn't have, except for the English class and a little bit of art. But we noticed, as most of the young monks are very young, sent by their parents mostly, except for very few who come from their own side. But once they grow up, they will decide, and many of them leave the monastery for different reasons. Not everyone has same reason why they leave the monasteries, but sometimes it's the family issues. They are the oldest child, like him. The family needs the help of the oldest child at home. So sometimes they might say, we need you at home help. Sometimes it is like that. Sometimes it's to the curriculum, the schedule is the discipline is very not easy for young. You don't have much time for entertainment or rest. It is constantly study pujas all the time. So that could be a little bit difficult for some. And then for some, you get distracted. When you reach a certain point, uh, you are attracted to the samsaric things, and so then again, that could be for some. So for different reasons, many of them drop. Many of them drop. But we have found that once they drop the monastery, of course they have the modern, the monastic education, Dharma education that definitely helped them in their life. Probably one of the best education they could much. But they have to live in the world, and then they cannot find a well-paid job because they don't have the education for that. They don't have the degree for that, and they cannot go to any schools because they have lived in monastery 10 years, 15 years, and so if they have to go to school, they might have to start from class one because they never learned science, mathematics, and all of that. And so it is hard for them. And so the monasteries came to understanding conclusions that regardless whether they continue to stay in the monastery or not, but we should provide the education for that so they have the basic foundations. And if they do decide to leave the monastery, they can continue their studies and also they can have a degree and they can have a better job, better paid job. And so I think that, but they were having a difficult, they needed someone to carry and implement that, And so that is when they asked me to do that. And I wasn't interested, you know. uh, uh, I'm never interested in administrations, runnings, that is not my cup of tea. That is not something I'm interested. But they asked me, and it was hard for me to say no. The monastery gave me everything. Whatever I have, whoever I am now, is because of the kindness of the monastery. So, of course, I always had the intention to repay the kindness and to do the service, whatever I can. But at that point, I wasn't really ready for that. Actually, it was in 2003, I left New Mexico after almost 2.5 years here, based in Taos, and coming to Santa Fe to teach once a week. But I wanted to do a retreat, which I had for long, since I was quite, while I was studying in Sera. So I was in that, but when they asked, I was a little bit sad because it was interruptions to that. But again, the monastery asked, and I also discussed with Rinpoche, Mamasova Rinpoche, and Rinpoche said, since the monastery asks you and monastery needs you, it will be beneficial if you can help and support. So that is where I took the responsibility to do that. And of course, like in any organization, when there is a big change, there's two different opinions, and that happens in every organization. Not everyone agree, There was one who wanted to, even within the board, majority wanted the changes, but within the board, some didn't, and also some other senior monks who are not in the board, but they were not very interested in going in that directions. And they thought that would be that can be obstacles for the for more traditional dharmas and the monastery's life and all of that. So there was so sometimes you have to kind of deal with that, and because not everyone's agree and with that side. But at the end we were able to establish, and I hope and we hope those who decided to go in that direction that we did the right things. Hope it was for the benefit. It was best for the monastery, best for the monks or the student there. We can only hope that was the best decision. Who knows? Maybe it could be. It might not be the best decisions in long term. We don't know. But the intention was the best, and so that is what. So let me ask you one more question. So throughout all these years, did you had any struggles and doubts about continuing being as a monk and to be in monastery? Did you have any challenges, difficulties? Has there been any thoughts of leaving the monasteries or not?
Yeah, so come to this. So when I was, it's about, I think maybe 1992, my parent asked me if I want to to continue the monk. So because that is something that I have a right to, make my decision. And I say, okay, I want to continue my monkhood because now I have at least some experiences in the monasteries and some practices. So at least my parents gave me a choice, or if I want to continue or maybe leave the monastery. So I decided to continue the monkhood. And in 1994, I was sent to Sera to continue, or maybe to study higher education system in Sera Je, which have all Geshe programs for 24 years, 23 years, like that. And when I was in Sera, I have a little bit of doubt because of the difficulties to live in the monastery. Uh, like 94, 95, I never experienced such difficulties in the monastery at Kopan, because at Kopan is that everything is in front of you. It's you're living a life like a rich people's home, like that. You have food ready there, you have clothes ready there, you have a medicine ready there, and we have many volunteers from overseas, like nurses, doctors. They come to take care of us. But when I went to Sera, the life is little bit difficult. In those days, you have to work in the fields, crops, and even those are the times that whole Sera is improving with the buildings, new big monastery halls, debate courtyards, and that is the time of it's like improvement.
Yeah,
Lots of developments. So like
infrastructure.
Lots of infrastructure are there. Like, so you have to work 2 days in the kitchen, and another 2 days, because Sera is the Sera Laji is the main monastery. Under the Sera Laji, there's 2 different, like Sera Je and Sera Me. So Sera Je have like 13 kamzins, 13 houses. So what happened is that sometimes you will have a walk in the houses, and sometimes you have a main monastery. Sometimes you have Sera Je itself. So you have to walk everywhere. Like 2 days kitchen, 2 days kitchen duty, 2 days in construction duty. And, in summer, when the crops is ready to, like, uh, criticize?
No, what do you call, no, not harvest. When you put mineral, like fertilizers.
So
some kind of
that was
fertilizer.
my first experience working in the field like a military, So in seniority, the seniors will be taking care at the back, and then all the juniors have to hold the fertilizer, and then you have to, what do you call, like a feeding a board. You have to fertilize each and every crops, and then if you miss a few seconds, you'll get a, like because you have to finish in on goal, everybody like a machine. If you have 20 monks or 30 monks in one row, everyone have to move in one goal, like utilizing like that. And that was my first experience in working very hard in the field. So even I cry because like it was raining, we don't have a race, and then our knees scratch each other, and I have wounds. And because of the fertilizing, it went inside here, and it's so painful. And then that time, I have a doubt that if I should continue being a monk or not. If you are like less studies, more works in those days. So you have a very less classes, but often there's lots of works often, like construction, kitchen duty. Kitchen duty is okay, but construction, lots of constructions are there. So it's about maybe around 5-6 years continuing constructions.
And in the corn,
Yeah.
is corn that what they plant. And when you started to put the fertilizers, the corn are always this big, and sometimes they cut, when with the leaves is quite,
Sure.
and then you have to go twice, and then again when they are this big, and also the fertilizers, I don't know what it is exactly, and almost like salt. So, uh, when it get wet, then almost it burns your hands.
Yeah. Through the nails, it go through the nails, and all your fingers are bone like that, very painful. But so after that, so the years went like that, and then I was a little confused for a few years. Like, shall I continue being like this, or maybe shall I have any other options? So, if the options are, those days in the monastery, you have lots of options. Even if you don't want to continue with that kind of education, so you have another options also these days. But those days you have only on options. Either you continue or you have to leave the monastery. You don't have any other options. So anyhow, that I continue, and in the year when Gishila become a Gishi, it's
99.
It's a 99. So we have a very good experience to share, but shall we share that experience?
If you want to share, yeah.
So it's like it's kind of it's related with the practice actually. So I heard that Kishla is going back to Nepal. The 99 is what 99, yeah,
99.
So
I
those
graduated.
days you have to bring some funds to offer the monastery.
During the ceremony, you have to make some
Sangha offerings.
like meals to the monks.
Yeah.
During the graduation ceremonies, meals to the monks, and then also some other offerings, money if you can, And it's a way of thanking the monastery and the monks for you have studied there so many years, and now you are graduating, and it's a way of thanking to the monastery and for the monks by providing, sponsoring a meal, and then if you can afford, some monies, to all the monks.
So I was having a kind of depression in those time. So Gishila knows that Gishila is just next to my room. and sometimes I really get angry. I really get crazy.
But he's more crazy now.
Yeah. So what happened was, when I heard that Geshe is going back, so I made my mind, but I didn't ask any permissions from the monastery side. But I decided myself that I will be not going to stay longer in the Sera. So I requested Geshe to buy a train ticket with him. And yeah, so Geshe is very, and I mean, thoughtful. And then he helped me to buy the ticket. And then after that, we traveled from Sera. I quietly given all my belongings to my friends, like book, okay, robes and my even my things in my room. I already divided to all my friends. Like I write some names, and then even I went to clip some pictures for the, like memories. Those very good close friends, and then so that we left from Sera, and there's one city called Mysore. And we came into the bus, and once we reach, we have to change the bus from a town called Mysore and then to Bangalore. So I'm not stable. I'm not stable that time. Then, so I put all my important things on my, the bag, small bag, and the ticket was also in that bag. And when we changed the bus, I missed everything in the another bus which we came from. We lost everything. Like, and then, but Gishla was very thoughtful. He didn't scold me. He didn't, but he said, "No, it's okay. It's okay to lose." But we went to the bus station to look that bus for few hours, I think. Yeah, yeah. And then Gishila said, "Never mind. We will stay overnight here." The next day, Gishila went to the train station to take a duplicate ticket. So that's also first time that I learned we don't have to buy the new ticket, but the same ticket, they will provide as a duplicate ticket, train ticket. And so I was already bad, and after losing everything, I become worse. So I was not talking to Gishla. Yes, I'm very serious, like very, like the face very down, and doesn't want to eat anything somewhere on the way. And somehow we were able to catch the train, and in the train there was like, those Nepali peoples come to see, Sai Baba. You have heard about that? Yeah, many devotees from Sai Baba, they come there, and then they used to sing, and I was every time sitting on the top, this in silver on the top. I don't come down, but Yeshua tried to make lots of fun, tried to make me like at least some laugh or something, but it doesn't work. Yeah. So once we reached Nepal border, again there was lots of checkings, yeah. Then they check everything. Well, somehow we arrived at Kopan. So now my challenge is that I have to really ask a permission from Geshe Rinpoche, Lama Samdukta, abbot of the Kopan Monastery. I think I went 5 or 6 times just to the door and come back. Couldn't go inside, and like that. So one day, I think I mentioned Gishila that I will not come back. Yeah. So then normally when we come back from Sera, we have to give a like kind of examinations at Kopan. You have to answer the questions in debate, and somehow Geshe Rinpoche got the information from Gishila, I guess now. And then Geshe Rinpoche says, "You don't have to worry, you don't have to you just relax, enjoy here, and have a good meal, like that." I was a little bit anxious, like, how come Geshe Rinpoche knows that? But anyhow, so he treated me like, very well. But I was wanting to tell him that I have to leave the monastery. Yeah, so I went 5 or 6 times, I think, just to the door and come back. I couldn't say. somehow one day he came to me and saying that, can you come to my room? And then after that, he explained, like very clever, various means, various skillful means that, he was describing. But in my mind, only one thing that I have to tell Geshe Rinpoche is that I'm going to leave the monastery because I have lots of difficulties. But Geshe Rinpoche was like telling me, the benefits of continuing a monk, but I really don't have a kind of attention on it. And then after that, he tried to describe the responsibilities of the monastery. And then he had been working under Lama Ishi for many years. And then we are some kind of monks because why we was been sent to Sera Je to continue study and then come back to Kopan. And so at least the continuations should be there. And somehow that Geshe Rinpoche's thoughtful teachings and, careful carings, it changed my mind, but not totally changed my mind. So in between, Ishila already bought a ticket going back to Sera. So and he told me that we're going back in this certain time. And then I'm saying, I think I'm not ready, then I try to find somebody else going for, on that ticket, somebody else to go there. I also managed to find one monk. He's interested to go to Sera. But like the second time again, I was called by Geshe Rinpoche, like kind of giving advice, very heart-touching advice and something like that. So that changed my mind, and then I decided to go with Isla back to Sera. And I think that time we went by flight, I guess.
I don't remember.
Yeah, we went by flight. That was my first flight to, like in my life, I never taken any flights. So the funny part was that when I arrived Sera, every of my friends bringing my belongings back to me, which is really, like very shyful, like very, it was really, I feel very bad. So after that, it continues. Then, since then, I didn't have any kind of thoughts to leave the monastery. And then I continue my studies.
Yeah, just to share on that, I think many of you might have heard, but also I went through my own struggles, especially when. Mm, mm. That is why I told you he's even more crazy now. Yeah. Again, so most of the monks, they go through some their struggles in their life. It is not like you go to monastery and you are always happy and you are that. I myself went through a lot of struggles, especially when I was around 18, 19, 2 years. I wasn't happy at the monasteries. Uh, I didn't want to be a monk. I wanted to leave the monasteries. And I've discussed that with my fathers. My father wasn't supportive of me leaving the monasteries. Then I tried to talk to my mom. I just need someone to support me. And my mom wasn't, again, my mom encouraged me to stay. Then I talked to my elder brother with the hope that there's someone will support me, But my elder brother also, they all says, you should be monks, it's best for you, Then I talked with my uncle, that one of my uncle which has a strong family influence in our families, and also he said same things, Of course, at that point you feel like nobody supports you, It feel like everyone's against you. They don't understand you, That is how you feel, They don't understand me, They say it's best for me. I didn't feel that it was best for me, I think at that point I thought, they don't understand me. They don't support me. they are not supportive of me, So anyway, so that is how I went through a lot of. So those 2 years, I struggled a lot. And again, it could have been influenced by many things, as I said, for many monks, including myself, the tight schedules, disciplines. Those were tough for a young um, child and young teenagers. And then some of my friends had left monasteries, and it seems they have more freedoms. It seems they have more enjoyment. It seems they have more entertainments. It seems they have more money. So that also impact you, because you see them in that situation, and you also wish you could um, be like them. So, and also at that, even though I went to monastery at the age of 9, and even I've studied there by that time 10 years or 9 years, still I think my understanding of Dharma is still very superficial, I would say, not deep enough to understand of Dharma, and so therefore, your mind can get very easily distracted by these samsaric things, those attractions. So I think that affected my mind for being unhappy and dissatisfied. Um, but of course, I think probably many things has. Sometimes you don't know things how a lot of things affect your mind because they're subtle. Sometimes you don't know. But I think there are two main kind of situations that I remember that affected me, changing my mind. One talk with my dad, and one talk with one of my teachers, Geshe Losang Chamba, with whom I studied Buddhist philosophy in Kopan for many years. And actually, he was invited um, to come in the United States to be a resident teacher in a Milarepa centers, Milarepa and Kurukula in Boston. And he asked me to be a translator. Um, at that time, I was learning to be a translator. And during one of the conversations, Gishila, advised, mentioned certain things that kind of impacted my mind, my thoughts, and so also the conversation with my dad. Those two impacted me strongly. And so then I decided to continue to be a monk, and I decided to go to Sera. And then I asked and requested Lama Lunduf if I could go, and he supported in that, and so that is how. So a lot of monks go through all this, a lot of struggles, and so somehow they are able to overcome those struggles through support from the teachers, support from their Dharma friends, and sometimes some of them they cannot overcome the struggles, and they leave the monasteries. The number of the monks that who leave monastery very high. I would say 50, 60, 70%. When I was in Kopan, we had around 80 monks at that time before I went to Sera. And from that batch, only 15, 20 left. At that time, before I went to Sera, in my class, we have 5 of us. I'm the only one who's left. And just like Gisela mentioned, also after I overcome that struggles and I decided to go to Sera and study. Since then, I never looked back and never had any doubt on my path. And now I feel very grateful to my parents, especially my dad. Um, at that time, which I thought he was not supportive, not understanding. Now I appreciate for him and all my others' families, and of course, Samba, for me to help me to be on the path, continue to be on the path at that difficult time. So yeah, I think that is one of the experience of a lot of the monks, young monks, you know.
I have one question to ask Gishla. That when I was in the monastery in Sera, so Gishla was studying, of course, like a full-time studies there. And you were also looking after or maybe helping those who cannot speak English or Hindi. So you used to, take if somebody is really ill or somebody really sick, they could go to the hospital, but they need a translator or somebody. So Gishla was been helping for so many years, I guess. So what makes that kind of thoughts come to your mind?
At that time, now there are a lot of monks who have graduated or who are graduating from the school, Sera Je school, and who knows English and Hindi very well. But when first went, there are very few monks who can speak the Hindi language or English. So very few. And if someone is sick, if you have to go to the hospital, you need someone who knows the language to communicate what their problem is and to get all the advice. And as I said, there are very few of them. So I happen to be one of them who know a little bit of Hindi and a little bit of English. And when they come and ask, it is hard to say no. Someone's really sick and someone really need to go to hospital and someone. And so, so yeah, I started going, and then more and more people started to request the more because we have around 4,000 monks at that times. And so there is something happening. We need to go to hospital, and I miss a lot of classes because of that. There are times when I spent months in the hospital with one because it was serious patients had a cancer, and so we went to one hospital and they tried to treat him. So I cannot just leave him there, even though there are some other monks who are helping him, but they don't speak the language very well, and so there could be miscommunication. So then after one hospital for some time, then the hospital is sent to another hospital, specialized hospital. Again, totally, I think I spent month to two with that one patient. And in those times, the monks they don't have the resource to rent a house. So a lot of time we sleep outside while the patient is that sometimes you sleep on the outside with the bench, and sometimes we didn't even have a. I remember in one hospital in Bangalore, and again, the monks were very serious. It was an emergency, and we couldn't just leave and go, and you are not allowed to sit in with them. And also, of course, if you have a lot of money, probably you could get a special room, probably where you can, but that was not the case. So we just slept on the bench and without blanket too. Luckily, there was a nurse in that hospital, and they saw that and they helped us to bring the blankets. So anyway, so I did I did. So I did try to help uh, the monks who are sick to take to hospital and being in hospital for many years. And I missed a lot in my studies. So even one of my mentors um, and guidance, the present Kopan's abbot, Geshe, and then senior monks, they had a meeting, and they even said, we see that you are helping and going to hospital very often, and since you are missing a lot of classes and humbling your studies and that, and they say if you cannot say no to someone, you let us know. We can tell them. So even they had that meetings. So anyway, so I think that is, and also I was helping some monks who had us to read their letters, writing them letters. So yeah. So I think that is more or less. Maybe it's better to open for the questions from the audience. Anyone's, here and also in the Zoom. Yes, can you pass?
You both were 9 years old when you went in. Were there other 9-year-olds or similar ages or with you?
In my batch, I think I'm the only one who is a nine years old boy, becoming a monk that time. Yeah, but nowadays, much younger monk, like 6 years, even I think the latest is 6 years. They also come to be a monk. Their parents send them to be a monk. Yeah.
Yeah, at our time, I think there are a few who are around 7, 8, and there are some 9, 10. Actually, yeah, yeah. So there were some even younger than me at that time. Not many, but there are some who are more or less same age, 9, 10, 11, 12. And then there were some even a little bit younger than me.
So you had some camaraderie with them.
Yes, yes, yes. As Gihila mentioned, um, because you have kind of more or less same age, around that age, you don't miss your parents so much. Like as Gishilas, also my families live in a village, my parents. And to go to the village, again, is 1 week. You take a bus one whole day, and then from there you have to walk 1 week. So the family cannot come very often because that will be at least 2 weeks back and forth. And when they come to Kathmandu, they will need to hire a room or something, and it's expensive for them. They don't have so you get to see your parents once every 2 years, and they visit, but normally you don't miss, you just play with your friend and more or less same age, or a little bit senior or junior. But you do miss, at least in my case, when someone's families come to visit one of the friends, father, mothers, brothers, sisters, whoever, when they come to visit, they need to remind you your own families. And that's when you started to miss your own families. But normally you forget in your own world, yeah.
Could you communicate with them in any way, even though they were far away?
No, at that time, no, no one has a phone, especially in those villages. Also, Kopan didn't have a phone. not even line,
Letters.
line phone. So there was no communication. And also you cannot send a letters. Of course, maybe if someone's is going to village, there's no post at that time. So we didn't have communication. But I had one uncle in Kathmandu, and so I was able to see him sometimes.
I think Serendipity has a question on Zoom. Could you unmute?
Yeah, hi. I have a question about the science and maths program. Two questions really. What year did that program begin? This is now 2024. I'm just curious when it started. And also, how rigorous is it? In Western high schools, you start with geometry or algebra, and then the next year would be one or the other, and then the last year is calculus. And in science, you begin with biology and then chemistry and physics. So I wondered if that in the monastery, if that those programs are that rigorous or became that rigorous.
Well, we started a school in 2004 or 5 with those modern, and of course we are not college. These students are not college going or that is started from kindergarten up to 10, now 11, 12. So they have a science and math for curriculums that is taught in all the schools, private schools. And so there's a science according to what level at the kindergarten, what level the second, third. So since I don't know science myself, we didn't study in that way. We didn't have the opportunity, nor I studied the math, so I don't know all different algebra. I've heard about those things, but I don't know exactly what algebra is and all. So I cannot have a specific answer for that. But whatever science or math that is in curriculum that has been used in all the private school, government school, it is taught there.
So that began in 2004.
Yes.
Oh, that's wonderful. Okay.
For this, I just want to add something more about it. And then, like for Sera Je, it's one of the biggest monastery to have the government curriculum. So it was been started. I came to Sera Je in 1994. So there's two different things that you have options. Either you go for the full day this philosophy class, or you go to the school. So we joined to the full day, philosophical studies, and those who go to the school, they have every opportunities to learn a science, math, like as you say, biology, everything like it's under the Indian government education policy. So those monks who study in this school, who graduate from there, so graduate, it means that they can study up to the 10th standard. And those monks are quite well qualified. And even the present abbot of the Sera Je, former abbot of the Sera Je, and then many of the, learned translation around the, I think maybe many Europe, and then few are in America, I guess. So they're well doing. And then since the mind and life, program came into the monastery, and then they started with to bring the monks to study in the university, Emory University. So they're doing very good. Yeah. So from our monastery, I think maybe 7 monks so far. They finished their curriculum 1 year or 2 years program, I think, in Emory. And recently, one of the monk from our monastery, He's a Lama. I heard that he's visiting our center here. Yeah. So, Kuchu Tenzin Gyume Rinpoche, he finished his master in Boston, Howard, one of the Howard University, but I think maybe different department, I guess. So nowadays that, not like those days, but nowadays there are more and more educated monks are coming up, like Geshes. Yeah, it impacts quite well in the monastery.
Mark has a question in the Gompa, then we'll go to Zoom.
I'm not sure this makes any sense. How old were you when you learned to meditate?
I don't remember. You know, when you were very young, you know, they teach you meditation, some form of meditations. And probably we are not so serious meditators, but you just try to follow some of them, you know. So yeah, like, you know, from very young age, when you're doing Lama Lundu, he will, for the young monks, he will teach them, start with some meditation, and he will give some talk and teach, and, you know, so the monks try to do, even when they first comes, you know, whether they are 6 or 7 or 8 or 9, 10, whatever the age is when they come, the airport, the Lama Lundu at that time, he will try to teach them, you know, basic dharma and introduction to the basic about refuge and those things. Of course, a lot of time the monks does not understand all of them. They are too young. They don't have full grasp of the language. Most of them, they do not speak Tibetan. They have their own dialogue. Most of them different part of Nepal, or unless you come from Tibet. Even from Tibet, some part of Tibet, they have their own dialect, not the normal language that's spoken in the central Tibet. And so if you don't speak that language, then it takes many years to learn the language, to understand that, you know. And so, of course, there is teaching on that, but how much individually they learn about that, it depends on individual, you know, how much they learn and how much they are able to meditate, you know. And again, you know, in Tibetan Buddhism, that is based on the Nalanda traditions in India, or Mahayana Nalanda traditions. There are two kinds of meditations: analytical meditation and placement meditations. And so again, you know, like in the monasteries, when you started learning the Buddhist philosophy, and when you started to, and that is part of also analytical meditations. Part of analytical meditations, you know, even if someone is not sitting cross-legged and silently meditating emptiness, but constantly talking about the emptiness, all different meaning of the emptiness and how to meditate and how. So that constant those debate, whether you are doing in class or whether you are doing your teachers or whether you are doing thinking yourself, you know, what emptiness means. If this, that. So all of that are part of analytical meditations. So again, yeah. Anything to add?
Yes. So during our time, like as Geshe says about Kopan Abbot, Lama Landru, so he used to teach us every Friday. The reason he chose a Friday is that next day is the Saturday, we have a holiday, weekend holiday. So Friday is the things that all the young monks are very excited. So tomorrow is a holiday, so we are very excited because one thing is that we the monastery will provide us to watch movies. Yeah. So the Friday was chosen, and then because during a Friday, the monks, young monks, are not like tired or maybe like sleeping in the class like that. So Lama Thandrup started the class, the meditation class, and he teach very simple way. Not through the philosophical perspective or something, but he tried to let understand every single, young monks in easy way. And even he's struggling, he's Nepalese. He doesn't speak Nepali much, but he's struggling, try to let understand all these young monks. So I have experience because he says that if you do a meditation, you will become a smart, like your studies. So it's like kind of, convincing the young monks. Yeah. So if you do the good meditations, you can memorize more. If you do meditations, you can concentrate on your study and you will become a smart monk. So being a young monk, everyone wants to be some kind of smartness on everyone. So he always started with the visualization. Yeah, visualizations of the Buddha. So he used to tell, okay, everybody close your eyes, sitting on the posture, and start with visualizing a moon. So, and then he will ask question, what kind of moon that we visualize? And then he will correct us, each and every of the young kids. So, and the moon and the sun, and then the lotus, and then the Buddha, and the most exciting part is that through the Buddha, and you get the blessings, through rays, and then it enters into your from the head, and then clear up all the negativities, and lots of wisdoms. So that is very exciting part for the monks that when it the rays through rays comes to the head and then clear out all the negativities with visualizations. So we are very excited. Everyone wants to be smart. So that's then doing the Friday class, meditation class. And then gradually, then Khyentse Rinpoche changed the topics in different part of meditations like that. So in being a young, it was quite excited, learning meditations through the, very simple concept.
We might need your Friday class that just starts with the moon.
That you need to have a movie class on Saturday.
Oh, yeah.
I think Tony had a question on Zoom. And then Elizabeth.
Hi, yes, excuse me, I did have a question. And the question was about meditation, actually, and Mark answered it. So thank you guys for answering my question before I asked.
Thanks, Tony. Elizabeth?
Yes, good evening. Thank you so much for this fascinating presentation. So my question is, are most of today's monks living a monastic life due to personal choice or mainly as a result of the preferences of family members? Thank you.
So yeah, again, I don't know in terms of percentage, again, a lot of younger ones, as I mentioned, there are some even at a very young age who, for some influence from past or they are inspired by something or someone, they express or they wish to become a monk, but that number is kind of not a lot. The majority of the young monks, let's say at the age of 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, most of them are sent by their parents or family members. But you know, once you grow up, you know, once you reach teenagers, adults, then it's the individual's choice, you know. And nowadays, even as a young monks, you know, you don't even have to be a teenager or adult to actually make those choice. You know, nowadays some monks comes and after a few weeks or few months, they decide it is not for them and they leave. Some of them, after a year or two, they decide it is not for them and they leave. So it is not like the family can force them to stay there. At the very beginning, they will live there, and then once the children says, "This is not for me, and I don't want to live," we have seen monks leaving after a couple of weeks, months, years. So um, there's very few. I don't know. Maybe there are few who really force the children to be there despite against their will. You know, even in my cases, I was sent at an age of 9. You know, I wasn't sent against my will. It wasn't my choice. It wasn't my choice. It wasn't coming from my side. My family, my parents want to send, and I was okay with that. I didn't say it was. I didn't want to go and against. But as I mentioned, when I was in um, teenager, I struggled that, and even in that time, I didn't want to go against their will. It's not that having forced me to stay. You know, I just wanted their permissions for me to leave, and I didn't. You know, my dad even said, you know, I cannot force you if you don't want, but he gave his point of view why I should continue to be monasteries, and I should that he wouldn't support my idea of leaving the monastery. And my even older brother said, you know, if you don't really want to, I wish you to, I really like you to continue to, that is best for you. But if you really feel that it wasn't for you, then you just come. Father might scold, but he's not going to beat and he's not going to kick you out. You know, he might be disappointed, he might scold, and that is, so, you know, it wasn't like, so yeah, that is my, um,
Hi, Geshe. Thank you all for this talk. It's been amazing. I have a question. Do the monks and nuns do any activities together, like pujas or classes or debate or anything?
Yes, in Kopan, when the earlier time, so you know there was like we have few nuns, not even 10, I guess. Yeah, around 10. So the pujas, class, and every you know like we do together. And ever since that, the growing the numbers of the nuns, then after that, Kopan have created a nunnery. So those days we have a, you know, like, you know, different blocks for the nuns and the monks, but we do a puja together and also attend all the classes together. Yeah, and like kitchen duties and sort of cleaning everything activities in the monastery always do together. Yeah, but now as we have a nunnery, so they had their own activities and we have our own activities in the monastery. But every 15 days during a confession day, sojong, so everybody does together at the main monastery. Kind of high lamas visiting, high lamas giving a teaching, and all will come together to listen to teachings, receiving the initiations. Yeah, like that. Rest of other like class activities that we are doing separately. Yeah.
and also time to time we have puja together, you know, special events. pujas. Sometimes there's special events, special ceremonies. Also, there we have togethers. Yeah.
And do either of you have sister or brother that is also ordained?
I don't have sisters to begin with.
Okay.
I have one brother who also graduated as a Geshe, actually classmate of Gisela. And he is now a teacher at a nunnery, Kopan nunnery. Again, he's 5 years younger than me. You know, he started in a different lineage, Kagyu lineage, you know. And in his case, it was his choice. He expressed he wanted to go to monastery at the age of 13. He said he wanted to go to monastery. He wanted to be a monk. So, and since my parents and all that is they follow Nyingma Kagyu lineage, you know, and I'm in a Geluk lineage, different lineage. So one of my uncle, who is a village lama, he kind of advised my parent to send one of the other child. At least I'm older in Geluk, so they said maybe it might be good to send to a, you know, Kagyu lineage. So he started with the Kagyu lineage, you know, in one monastery, in Kagyu monastery, about 3 years. And then he went to further studies for biggest, at that time, the biggest Kagyu monasteries in Rumdek in India, 4 years studies. And then later he came to Sera and then he finished his study there. So, yeah, so that, and I had one niece who wanted to be a nun. Again, you know, I think she was around what? I think she just finished grade 7 or 8 at that time. So she must be around, again, 12, 13. And she expressed she wanted to be a nun, wanted to go to nunnery, and both his father and also me say, no, don't rush, don't worry, you finish your schools, you know, at least finish the schools, and then you can decide. You know, you don't have to rush. But, you know, so that year she went to school, but again, next year she said she wanted to be a nun. So, you know, so they were kind of, my brothers was, his parents were deciding where to send, you know. And I told him, you know, you can send her anywhere within, you know, I have some other relative in India, in Rinpoche's nunnery. That is also very good nunnery for educations. And in Nepal, there is Nyingma traditions. In Nepal, there is Tangur Rinpoche Kagyu tradition, also nunnery. They also have quite good studies. And then Kopan. I said, you know, you can, it is for them to decide which where to send, but I say one of those three is because you don't just want to send nunnery where they don't have educations, you know, where they just teach rituals. Still, there are monasteries who just teach rituals, nunnery and monastery too, you know. And so I said, the importance for her to get education doesn't matter what lineage. And then they decided to send to the Kopan. She was there for 10 years, and after 10 years, she decided to leave the nunnery. And when I asked her why, you know, she said the discipline schedule is too tight. She said you wake up in 5 and go until 10 with no break, almost no break every day. Class, pujas. And she said she cannot think of her whole life in that way. So she decided that wasn't, yeah.
Yeah, my case, like I have a younger brother who was a monk at Kopan, and he studied until 7th grade. Then he himself decided to go back to the family. And the family tried several times to send him back to the monastery, but he had made his mind. And then after that, he left the monastery, and then he became a mountaineer. Yeah, he became a mountaineer, and then he continued climbing mountains with my father. And one incident that he almost died in, while climbing the Mount Everest. And then since then he left that job, and he flew New York, joined some other our relatives. And ever since then he's here in USA. And my three sisters are not nun, but I have many cousins. They're in nun, and in Nyingma nunneries, and even in Kopan we have three cousins who is still a nun, and one became a Gishima. She did very good, and now she's doing a retreat under Mbuche's guidance. And after she finished the retreat, then she's continuing helping the nunnery as an administrator. So, and then I also have a few nuns in very remote, nunnery in Solukhumbu. You might heard about one of the biggest nunnery, old nunnery there. And I never met her in my life, but last year I went to see her, and then that was the first time that I saw her. And she's really doing good there. And she look after the young nuns, and also, looking after the old teachers and visiting teachers there. So they're doing good. Yeah.
Thank you.
So if there is more question, we can do a couple of them, and then maybe people might be tired. Anyone? Anyone Zoom?
Anyone on Zoom? Shayla?
Thank you. This was so
Alex,
fascinating.
Who?
go
Was
ahead,
Elizabeth?
Elizabeth. I'm sorry.
No, I just wanted to say thank you so much. This was really, really fascinating. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
And Alexis also says thank you to both of you that this was a very insightful talk. Thank you.
Okay, then thank you very much for everyone. Those who have joined here in person and those who have joined online and making the effort to come. And definitely, I would like to thank Geshe for giving his precious time, even though he's on his vacations. So, and sharing his experience. Okay, thank you very much, everyone. Good night. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.